Welcome to the third video of my push-pull leg series. It's the long-awaited leg day. On leg day, I keep my exercise selection small because, let's be real, most guys don't want to spend more time doing legs than they have to. If I get this video finished on time, it should be Father's Day when this uploads, so happy Father's Day. And let's get into the first exercise. This leg day is focused on quad, hamstring, and calf hypertrophy. So I start on the quads with a heavy barbell squat. I do these for 3 sets, taking them all close to failure. Be sure to keep a strong brace in your core, control the eccentric, let it down slowly, and explode up from the bottom. And when I say bottom, I mean I'm going low on these. Not everybody will be capable of completing the depth that I do here, but the more angle that you allow your knees to bend in, the more stretch you're going to put on the quads and the more emphasis you're going to put on the quads, which my goal here is to maximize quad hypertrophy. So I take this set to, I believe, 10 reps, but that range is pretty arbitrary. It's whatever works most comfortably for you. 10 reps just feels like a good sweet spot. Sometimes I'll move even to 12 reps. Shout out to Levi for his great camera work. I don't even know how he does it. Now this is just a replay of the same clip, but I want to add, you see here, I have the spotter arm set to an appropriate height. Please at least squat inside a squat rack with some sort of catching system, because if you aren't at least failing once every now and then, you're not pushing hard enough, and you're going to need something to catch you when you do fail. Yeah, I like to start with squats because they make me absolutely gassed. If I were to put them in the middle or even the end of my program, I would not even have the energy to start a set, much less finish one. It's okay to lean forward more as you're nearing the end of the set. Just do not let your back round. Do not let it drop. Just let the weight fall to the arms if you don't have the strength to safely push it up. So the next exercise is also focused on quads. This is called the sissy squat. Now, contrary to the name, they're pretty hard. I see it as what the leg extensions were meant to be. The leg extensions, at least in my gym, failed to give you a deep stretch and load a lot of tension in the stretch. Well, this accomplishes both of those. Now, it might be a little unstable at first. That's why I use the Smith machine to help me stay balanced, even though I'm not adding any real weight onto it. But this angle, it doesn't show you the greatest. It's just what I could do. But I am not moving my hips hardly at all. This keeps a lot of tension in the quads and also puts a lot of stretch on the rectus femoris, which is a muscle in the quad that also connects to the hips. So it forces it to stretch a lot, which is shown repeatedly in studies that is great for hypertrophy. So I do these for 3 sets, just like I do the squats. And I have progressed to putting 20 pounds on the bar since I recorded this video. So there is room for progression in this. It's just going to take a while to work yourself up to going full range of motion, because my knees are hitting the ground when I do these. You can't really tell with this camera angle, but they stretch and they burn. I had been slacking at compiling and editing these videos, so it's been a while since I recorded these, and I've actually started a cut since I recorded these videos. So looking back, I'm feeling a little chunkier. I'm feeling like I looked a little chunkier as compared to how I look now. But that's not important. Y'all are here for a leg day. So yeah, many of the reasons I love this exercise is because there is a lot of room for overloading. It doesn't allow the ego to take over. You're not going to be inclined to use a weight that you just throw around. It'll force you to really slow down and focus on milking that eccentric, making the muscle work the entire time and not just throwing your legs around or your body weight around. And even an added tip that I've started doing since I recorded this video is to not stand up all the way. Only come up about 2/3. This is a tip that Dr. Mike Israetel recommends as well, because it forces the tension to stay on your quads versus when you stand up, it's all bone on bone. So that'll force the metabolites to stay in your quads, and it will really burn and give you a fantastic stimulus. Now, many people won't be able to perform this exercise with full depth the first time, so slowly work your way to squatting deeper and deeper each time, and you'll eventually get a full range. By this time, my quads are pumped, cooked, whatever you want to say. So we are moving on to hamstrings. Now, this is the only hamstring exercise that I do through the entire workout. but I get at least 5 sets of said hamstring curl, even with a drop set for the last 2 sets at times. Now, I'd argue that a lot of hamstring machines are light anyways. As you can see, I'm full stacking it without much struggle, but still, don't let the ego take over. Really control the eccentric or choose a weight that allows you to do so and explode your way to the top. Now, unfortunately, my gym decided to throw away or sell the masterpiece that is the seated hamstring curl. Now, science shows that the hamstrings are more stretched and therefore gain more growth in the seated hamstring curl compared to the lying hamstring curl. So I would recommend doing that in place of this if you have one, although the lying hamstring curl is superior when it comes to growing the sartorius, which wraps around to the front of the thigh and is a very good muscle to grow if you're looking towards bodybuilding aesthetics or general muscle hypertrophy. Now, the reason that the seated hamstring curl stretches the hamstrings more is because the hamstrings, all but one, connect to your hips as well as your knees. So when the hips are, I don't know the scientific term for this, flexed, when the hips are raised, the hamstring is being stretched at the hip joint. And in a seated hamstring curl, they are stretched at the hip joint because you're seated, and they are stretched at the knee joint simultaneously. So the lying leg curl doesn't allow that to happen as much, although it does provide a great stretch in the knees and a very partial stretch at the hips. I make some absolutely atrocious faces when I do these, but if you are making some weird faces, you just aren't pushing hard enough. Either that, or you're just built different, and I need to stop being so dramatic. Last but not least, the neglected muscle, the calves. Now, if your gym has a standing calf raise machine, definitely use that. It's probably going to be better. But most fitness centers or gyms or anything don't have that available. There's usually a plate-loaded leg press and machine leg press. In my gym, we have both, but I believe the machine leg press works even better, the selectorized stack. I gave you the best angle that I could. It doesn't show justice as much from this angle, but with each rep, I am letting my toes come as high as they can, trying to get an enormous stretch on the calves, and only coming up to about parallel or slightly above. Now, I learned from Jeff Nippard that long length partials, which is what I'm doing here, from the most stretched position to a neutral position, is the most growth promoting exercise you can do for calves. Although, do be sure that your knees are straight, because that is the best way to target the goal muscle versus having bent knees who won't get the job done nearly as well. Now, what I think a lot of people get wrong with calves is they think you have to overload it with a ridiculous amount of reps, like you're doing cardio or something. But 30, 50 rep sets are not that great. I'm probably doing as low as 12 reps or even 10 reps on my 4th and final set. The calves are a muscle like any other, and so why would you train them any differently? If you're training them to failure, literal failure, you can't press anymore, then they're going to grow. And because I'm only doing 4 sets for calves, there is an intensity technique that I like to add on my 4th set. The first 3 are just normal straight sets, take them to regular failure. But on my 4th set, I like to do a little technique where I will go all the way to failure, and once I know I don't have another rep in me, I will let my calves go all the way down to a stretched position and then set a timer for 20 seconds. You hold that position for 20 seconds without letting any tension off your calves. It's going to burn a lot, and it's going to make time slow down even more than planks do. But do that, and your calves are going to blow up. Well, that's my entire leg day. Subscribe, like please if you enjoyed, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next video someday. See ya.